The ninth order of life is fungi. I love fungi. They grow into beautiful, interesting shapes that seem to be from another world. I visit botanical gardens, or I used to in my former family, and the things that grow up in these soils after a rain are remarkable. Look like little human hands or brightly colored bulbs there, and I could see how different cultures would have presumed magical qualities upon them. I don't believe in magic as a viable thing for Christians to be interested in. It exists, but that's a whole different subject. Mushrooms, again, are something like algae, sorry, fungus are something like algae that is not plant nor animal, that has been kind of presumed to be like a plant. It has other genetic structures. The biggest thing it can do is eat dead things. And so, before the fall, it didn't have dead things to eat. So it existed kind of in reserve, waiting for the fall. Because if God made all the creatures in the heavens and the earth and didn't do a second creation after the fall, these things were there. They had a set of purposes before the fall and a set of purposes after the fall, which were part of one massive universal ecosystem plan. Okay? And now they can eat things that you and I can't eat. Now, to hammer home the same point I've made over and over, whether you and I find it personally objectionable that something would eat the dead, I want you to imagine a world where nobody picks up your trash. I want you to imagine a world where you don't have an indoor flushing toilet and it's just piles of things in your backyard. I want you to imagine a world where none of your ancestors got buried and they're just stacked in your house. That's what happens in a universe or a planet or a solar system where God has not built in waste management, has not built in just waste management, but the reuse of everything. Science tells us that you can't make new matter, you can't make new energy. You can turn matter into energy and energy into matter. And that's exactly the structure God has built. He said, well, I made X units of nitrogen, and I'm going to reuse those over and over and over again. I'm going to reuse this water. The water that you're drinking has been thousands of things, millions of things. It has been out in space. It has been in the ocean. It has been in other people's bodies. Real? Absolutely. God didn't make new water for you. It'd be cool if He did. Um, but God is working with the same elements of the periodic table the same way that you or your child would work with Legos. It's no different for God to say, you know what, I'm going to stack some helium on some hydrogen. I'm going to stack some deuterium on this thing as part of a plan. Many of his creations seem to be a day where he appeared to be creating for the joy of creating and not necessarily making sense to us, although God doesn't have to make sense to us. There is great nutrition and interesting combinations of vitamins and minerals in fungus. It's actually in other cultures considered a whole branch of knowledge related to human health and medicine. We shouldn't get too far down the rabbit trail of I won't take medicine and I'll only eat weird organic stuff. But to find a moderate viewpoint, God has put a lot of healing capacity in plants, and we shouldn't be afraid of those things. We should avoid the spiritual implications of, well, in addition to seeing this as having physical medical powers given by God, we also see it as maybe being spiritual, magical, whatsoever, things like that. That's something to avoid. So if you can learn to feed your body with the nutrition of these things that come from usually Eastern belief systems, then you can be greatly benefited. I just had an amazing smoothie this morning that tasted like it had milk in it. It didn't. It had cocoa powder and an unusual mushroom from Asia that has medicinal powers, but it gave the beverage a creamy, but also earthy and vaguely truffle-like quality, which I will tell you was amazing. So, I guess that's part of the fun part, is that there's all these incredible flavors of things that God has made that, if we see them as coming from God, it gives us an opportunity to worship Him when we adventure our way through all the many foods and tastes and colors and textures and nutritional things of the human diet. We are an absolute omnivore that can eat virtually anything, and praise God for that. Um, it's part of exploring what God has done for us. If I have blessed you, encouraged you, or equipped you in any fashion, please like, subscribe, and comment.